Hello, my name is Sierra Cross, and I will be talking about the term divorce from Chapter 12. Divorce is the legal separation of a married couple and affects close to 50% of married couples today. This statistic has been changing since the Civil War and could change again tomorrow. Divorce has gone through three eras: the era of restricted divorce, the era of divorce acceptance, and the era of unrestricted divorce. The era of restricted divorce is when divorce was most unaccepted. This is the time of a restrictive approach toward divorce until about the middle of the 19th century. Divorces were usually granted on the grounds of adultery or deserted, and generally only to men. The era of divorce tolerance is when people started to accept the idea of divorce. The era of divorce tolerance is described as the time of a tolerant approach toward divorce. From the middle of the 19th century until, in the United States, 1970, the grounds for divorce were widened and divorce was made more accessible to women. Finally, the era of unrestricted divorce is the time of virtually unrestricted access to divorce from, in the United States, 1970 to present day. Divorces are usually granted without restriction to any married person who wants one. Divorce affects more than just the couple, but also the couple's families and children. There are many short-term effects on children that have to do with the new transitions of not having both parents in the same household anymore, along with whatever stress may be brought on by custody battles and economic issues. The process of adjusting to the new relationship can be very emotional. Divorced parents often argue over legal and physical custody of the child. Legal custody means that the parent who obtains it has the right to make important decisions about the children and the obligation to have legal responsibility for them. Physical custody is the right of a divorced spouse to have one's children live with one. Both of these are very important to the raising of a child and can affect the emotional state of that child. In a small number of divorcing couples, they agree on joint custody of the children, which means the children spend substantial time in each household. For example, 1 week at mom's house, 1 week at dad's house. In my own case, I feel very lucky that there was no dispute over who got what in my parents' divorce, and the custody agreement was never taken to court. They just agreed on it and signed a paper. Unfortunately, for most, the cooperation needed for joint custody to be successful is too often too much, and it fails. This can have a very negative effect on the child. When parents are fighting and resentful towards each other, the child can feel caught in the middle and as if they need to choose a side, which leads to issues with anxiety and depression in the children. As for long-term effects, children of divorce are usually able to cope and get over any emotional scarring. Despite this fact, it has been proven that these children are more likely to get a divorce in their own future marriages, but children with a parent who has died is not at all more likely to get a divorce someday. This finding shows that there is something more than the absence of a parent involved in the likelihood of a future divorce. One theory is that children who have lived through having divorced parents, for some reason, diminishes a person's ability to sustain a successful marriage. This could be because children witness more conflict between parents and could adopt a conflict-laden style of relating in their own marriage. Another theory is that children in divorced family may share such tendencies as becoming seriously depressed with their parents. Even if there were any genetic connections, they would not explain the sudden surge in divorce rates in the 19th and 20th centuries. Divorce rates haven't exactly increased, but they haven't really decreased either. However, divorce rates between couples with a college degree or higher have declined extremely, but those between couples with either no high school diploma or a high school diploma or some college have increased tremendously. The reasons behind these facts are unknown. It may have something to do with the change in divorce acceptance, change in divorce laws, age at marriage, race and ethnicity, premarital cohabitation, spouse similarity, and cultural change are all possible contributing factors.